Good afternoon, everyone, to another exciting installment of the Motor Vehicle and Transportation Committee, Subcommittee. I, as always, will be your chair. We did some amazing and fast and efficient work before crossover, and I think we're going to have a much more relaxed time and set of agendas here we are post crossover. We only have 3 bills on the agenda today, and two of them are actually cross files, so it's really just 2 bills. We're going to jump right into it first with a couple of bills related to speed monitoring systems in Baltimore County that came over to us with delegation letters a little bit too close to the crossover deadline for us to get the House bill across, but the Senate bill did get across in time. So we have both bills in our possession over here. Patrick, do you want to take it away?
Sure. We'll start with the House bill with the delegation amendments. House Bill 978 authorizes State Highway Administration to place up to 8 speed monitoring systems, 4 in each direction, on Interstate 695 in Baltimore County, and 6 speed monitoring systems, 3 in each direction, on Interstate I-83 in Baltimore County, subject to certain requirements, basically the standard speed camera requirements that we have in law. There's amendments. The delegation amendments authorize cost recovery from the revenues generated, make SHA the solely responsible for the program as drafted the billhead SHA, State Police, and Baltimore County Police, prohibit placement of the speed monitoring systems within 5 miles of one another, strike provisions governing speed monitoring system operator, lower the warning period from 90 to 30 days, and establish reporting requirements.
All right, let me find that. I've been doing a good job of using my cursor to point out where all these things are in this
Little
reprint
tricky
version
in this
we've
bill.
got.
There's the reporting.
Got it. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, so basically, SHA can place up to 8 cameras, 4 in each direction on 695 and 6 on 83, 3 in each direction, right?
Correct.
Okay, and we'll start with, we're starting with the House bill here, and so these are Senate amendments to conform. Delegate Guyton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Baltimore County delegation sometimes goes a little wacky with amendments that makes the bills coming out of it a little bit different than the way things are done elsewhere. We had the same problem with the speed camera bills that we've looked at in the past. So I do have some concerns about some of these amendments and voted against them actually in delegation because I felt like they were muddying the water for all of the other speed camera type work that we've done, particularly putting specific requirements 5 miles apart, that sort of thing. And I can't remember all of the amendments at the end. I don't have them in front of me because I ran in. In the reporting requirements, there are some different things in the bills that make it different from everything else that is done in the state. I just want to point that out to the subcommittee because I know it's been a problem in the past. I'd like to see the bill just pass clean personally, but I will go with the will of the subcommittee.
Got it. Appreciate that, Delegate Guyton. And totally understand sometimes, delegations have their own politics and their own whims. I would say here that I think the cleanest way for us to get this done in any form is probably just to go ahead and pass it out, because otherwise we're going to have to go back to the delegation and get a letter, and then we're going to be ended up on the deadline. So I get it. I don't necessarily love these amendments either, but I feel like this is kind of the posture we're in. Any other thoughts? All right, can I get a motion on these amendments for the House bill?
And for the record, these are delegation amendments on the House bill.
Right. So I think I got a motion maybe from Delegate Ziegler. I'll second it. On favor of the amendments from the delegation on House Bill 978, raise your hand or signify by saying aye. Any opposed to the amendments? All right. I'll move the bill. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Any final thoughts on this House bill as amended? Seeing none. All in favor of House Bill 978 as amended, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Delegate Jacobs will be opposed. That bill will receive a favorable recommendation. We're going to quickly move on here to the Senate bill, which we got it over in the same posture, right, Patrick?
This bill is amended by the delegation, the House delegation, to look like the bill you just voted on.
So we don't need an amendment vote, correct?
We do need an amendment, yes.
Oh, we do. Okay. All right. I'll move the amendments on this one.
Second.
All right. Any thoughts? This is exactly what we just did. See none. All in favor of the amendments, raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Or amendments pass. I'll move the bill as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, great. Any other comments on this identical Senate bill, the bill that we just did the House bill for? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. Any opposed? Delegate Jacobs is opposed again. That bill, like the House version, will receive a favorable recommendation from the subcommittee. We'll now move on to a House bill that we didn't get over the finish line before crossover, but we're going to give it a shot post crossover. It's from Delegate Polakovich Carr. This sounds like maybe a bigger deal than it really is, and it's been a while since we've had the hearing on it. But essentially, it says that a person operating a bicycle, play vehicle, or unicycle at intersection who is facing a red light signal may enter the intersection to cross the highway in the direction of a pedestrian control walk signal. And before entering said crosswalk, they have to yield the right of way to a vehicle or a pedestrian using the intersection. So what this is it in urban areas across the state, jurisdictions are increasingly doing, there's a phrase for this, but they're increasingly doing this thing where they basically give pedestrians a head start at a red light signal. So they turn on the walk signal for the pedestrians before they turn on the green light for the cars. Historically, you always would do it at the same time. So the people would start walking at the same time the cars went through the green, right? After a lot of data was collected on this, they realized it was actually a lot safer to give the pedestrians a couple seconds of a head start so that vehicles turning right at the either green or red would not run into the pedestrians who are trying to cross the street. Okay, so that's becoming more and more popular. What other jurisdictions have also now done is said that bicycles who are driving either in a bike lane, which is more common these days, especially in like places like Baltimore City, or in the street, allow them to go with the pedestrians, as long as they yield to the pedestrians, with them across the crosswalk before the light has turned green at the actual intersection, but after the walk signal has turned on for the pedestrians. Right now, under Maryland law, cyclists can use the crosswalk with pedestrians, but they have to be in the sidewalk to do it, to go across the crosswalk at the walk signal. This would allow them, whether they're in the sidewalk or a bike lane, to essentially take advantage of that head start through the intersection so they too are not clipped by a car turning right. So it sounds, I think, a little bit crazier than it is, but this is only going to be relevant at a scarce few intersections in the state that actually have this kind of early start for pedestrians. And as you can see here in C2, it makes it clear that pedestrians are still going to get the right of way. So cyclists cannot just kind of like clear out all the pedestrians coming from the bike lane. Pedestrians, this is still kind of their zone here. But in a scenario where the pedestrians have already passed or there are no pedestrians, we want to make sure the cyclists can clear the intersection before the cars are thinking about turning right at the green light so that we have fewer people that die in intersections. That's the bill. Happy to discuss. Delegate Terrazza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like this bill. I'm good with it, but I just wanted to find out, are these electric bikes also? I mean, not electric bikes, because that makes sense to me, but it's not like motorcycles also. It's just.
Correct. And this has been
Motorcycles are
actually something that I
motorcycles.
needed to get a little education for. I kind of misspoke on the floor about this a few weeks ago. E-bikes are defined as bikes in our code, but to be
Yeah, I
clear,
mean, that makes sense because they're just like a little motor on them.
but well, yeah, but e-bikes, unlike motorbikes or motorcycles, you have to pedal. It involves, you have to have human motion for an e-bike to work. That's the distinction. Is if
Okay.
it's an e-bike, if you need your feet to pedal to make the vehicle work, it's like a motorcycle or a motorbike if it just will run on run on the motor without you having to do anything with your legs. That's the
Okay,
distinction.
cool. I
So
learned something new, so I'm good with it
yes.
then.
So
I'm
yeah,
good with
motorcycles
it.
are not bicycles, and they would not
Great.
face this advantage. They would not get this perk.
I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay,
Thank
Delegate
you.
Healy.
Okay, thank you. I want to know what play vehicles are. Does that include like scooters and wagons and
It's like little kids' cars. You know.
okay, so what about like seniors who have tricycles, like they have in Florida, or four-wheel vehicles that are,
No, if
pedals.
it's motorized, yeah, if
No,
it's
not
motorized, then-
motorized. If you like a Flintstone mobile where you have pedals that make it work.
I think if you have a Flintstone mobile where you have pedals, I think that's a play vehicle. Like whether or not a senior is driving it or a child is driving it, that basically is a play vehicle. Like think about like the old school, like small little, red toddler cars where they can pedal it with their feet. That's a play
Right.
vehicle.
Okay, but it could be a larger one that an adult could use that still operates by muscles and not by motors.
I think so, Patrick. This is the Flintstone question here is not one that is commonly before the subcommittee. Do you have a better idea of this than me?
I've always heard I've always interpreted play vehicles, and I want to check to see if there's a defined term, as kind of a catch-all, like the scooters that you stand on and you propel yourself, things like that. Would I think be a play vehicle?
Yeah, so I have a definition actually here.
You
I
do have a
just
definition?
Googled it. So a play vehicle is defined as a vehicle with 2 or 3 wheels. So it actually can't have 4, propelled only by human power, and not a bicycle.
Yeah, and I think that's designed to be a catch-all.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So kind of like a bicycle, but not a bicycle. Has to be propelled by your feet. Could have 2 or 3 wheels, but not 4.
Okay.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions? There are no amendments. I'm going to
Yes,
move the
there
bill.
is, the sponsor has suggested an amendment.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't realize that. What's the sponsor's
That's
amendment?
because it was 2 months ago that we heard it.
Yeah, I'm right.
If you could bring the bill back up that you have shared on the screen,
Yep.
it's on page 2. It's narrowing the signal. Second page, go down a little bit.
Here.
Yeah, there we go. On line 12, may enter the intersection to cross the highway in the direction of a pedestrian control walk signal displayed for the half of the highway on which the bicycle, play vehicle, or unicycle is traveling. In other words, if across the
sense.
street in the other direction, they have a walk signal, that doesn't count.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah. So they actually have to have the walk sign on the side you're on. Yeah, okay. I mean, that makes sense. That would be a little crazy to if we had something else. But okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I'll move the amendment then.
Second.
Okay, any thoughts on that very simple amendment that's sort of clarifying, if anything? Okay, all in favor of the amendment from the sponsor, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed to the amendment? Seeing none. All right, on the bill, I'll move the bill as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, great. Any other final thoughts on this pretty simple bike bill that will probably only apply in the most urban of jurisdictions? Seeing none, all in favor of this bill, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that bill will also receive a favorable recommendation, and assuming the House of Delegates passes it, we'll send it over to Senate Rules and see how it plays out. And that finishes the agenda for today. Really appreciate you guys hopping on so quickly. We probably will meet 1 or 2 more times, but not probably with more than 2 or 3 bills left. Like I said, we did a lot of really excellent work in this subcommittee prior to crossover, and our reward is that we're going to have it relatively light duty here post crossover. So appreciate y'all, and I will see you soon.